So today we've got a viewing at a potential property. It looks like it's a really good BRRR opportunity really. We know this area quite well, so I'm going to try and break this video down into three parts. Obviously now just telling you why we're looking at the property. Number two, ideally, if the agent will allow us to video around the property and so on. And then number three, we'll go back and obviously crunch the numbers and so on. Now this looks ideal at the moment because from the initial things, it needs a new kitchen, it needs a new bathroom, needs a full or partial or new rewire. It needs a new front door, needs a new back door, and it's only got electric heaters. So again, it needs full gas central heating. It's on with two agents, so that's fantastic as well because this property has been reduced £10,000 in the last 3 months, and now it's gone on with another agent. So it suggests that they're quite keen to get rid of it. This area as well, it's probably say ex-council. However, about 80% of the properties, you can tell they're not council owned anymore or anything like that. It's quite a well-maintained street, really, definitely. But before we book the viewing, we need to make sure, like I always tell my mentees, that you need to make sure that the figures stack up for you to warrant going for a viewing. So again, it looks from the outside in that it needs at least 20-25 spending on it. Like I said, new front door, new back door. We couldn't really work out what the windows were like from the pictures. New kitchen, new bathroom, and obviously that gas central heating will cost a few quid as well. So we'll see what it's like. But just another little tip there. Remember, the viewings are also an opportunity for you to speak to the agent as well about other properties. So while we're in there as well, I'm going to say, has she got any more? Have they got any more properties that are like this that are run down? Pretty much this area now, a two-bed terrace has just sold. It was a very, very nice two-bed terrace for 210. So it was an extremely nice one. There's other ones around there as well that are hovering around the 180, 190 mark. This is a three-bed. I suppose it's like a three-bed townhouse, really, or mid-townhouse, should I say. So we'll see what it's like, and it always boils down to the pound, shillings, and pence. So I'll see you on the other side. Like I said, hopefully I'll walk you through the property if they'll let me, and then we'll definitely go and do some analysis of how much it's all going to cost. Remember, you're getting into property not just to jingle some keys. It's for obviously your passive income, building out your income streams, and obviously building your generational wealth, especially if you're doing the BRRR strategy. I haven't mentioned it yet, but do me a favor, just hit that subscribe button. Definitely, it'll take you a few seconds. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're making a few notes. And again, I'll probably mention it, but check out the Black Belt Property Academy. Have a look in the link below, and it's where we take pretty much white belt investors through to black belt and beyond. Good luck. Good having. Right, so we're in the front bedroom now. Obviously, this will need looking at there. As you can see, pretty much the ceiling's like that throughout upstairs. It's got potential here now. Two-car drive, obviously, but again, that needs sorting out. You'll notice that this bedroom is smaller than the other bedroom because it's a bit of a flying freehold. So let's go into here. New internal doors needed. New woodwork throughout, skirts, architrave, internal doors. Again, the roof thing seems to be pulled through. That's a sign, electric heaters. So again, full gas central heating throughout is needed. Lots of space there. This is probably going to have in the old tank. Let's have a look. Yeah, there you go, one, and then up as well. Two. Gone into this bigger back bedroom now. Again, if you notice, there's probably about another 4 or 5 foot on this bedroom. The potential really is here to shift the bathroom that we haven't been into, the bathroom which is there, put it in this space here. So make what is currently the bathroom, bedroom. There will be your new bathroom, that area. Again, this is still a sizable room here. Looking out on the back garden. We can't get into the back garden, so I don't know what the pointing's like on that back side. Don't underestimate how much it would cost to shift that type of stuff, clean this out. Again, need to have a look what this is like there. Let's go down here. Down the bathrooms there. His bathroom said full, rip out everything. However, if you took this out, it would still be a nice 4th small bedroom. So potential. Double sockets, let's have a look. Going down here, again, spindles, handrails needed. New front door, let's have a look. There's single sockets throughout really, so that I need looking at. There's one down there. So again, don't underestimate how much it costs going into the room now. Again, probably kitchen from, I don't know, early 90s something. Again, that's got potential to be not through to big patio doors, but again, how much are you looking to spend on it and what's your end game? Get rid of that, rip all this out. Don't underestimate as well how much it costs to replace those panels and concrete posts. Here we go in, that's where we can't get to see, unfortunately. Maybe keep the stereo system there, you never know. Again, making this, open this out into a large kitchen dining room. A little bit of a utility area, a bit of a strange setup really, so again it'd need definitely sorting out. This is the bit that we can't go through to. That's obviously causing me some concern there, some sort of like makeshift type of thing. So, can we get away with keeping that oven? So again, just a super quick walk around there. You need to make sure that you're understanding what you're looking for. So again, the rewire here is going to be about £4 grand. New kitchen, new bathroom, you know, kitchen, 5-6 grand, who knows, depending on what spec you want it to put it at. Bathroom again, £4 grand, full gas central heating system, front door, back door. So again, you can't just think, oh, it's run down, it's a good buy. It depends on how much you get it for, and then again, what's the end value. So I'll try and now create a third part where we'll do the full figures and so on. Good luck, keep taking steps further forward, and hope it's making sense so far. Good luck. Okay, welcome to part 3. First of all, though, let me apologise if one of my dogs barks, okay? I do apologise. They like to bark every now and again. Right, so went for that viewing earlier on, obviously did the walk around as well. So if you remember, it needs, from looking at it, brand new kitchen, brand new bathroom, front door, back door, probably the windows as well. The roof needs looking at. What else? Full new rewire, probably skim coat throughout, probably lots of things. So basically, it's a good opportunity. It needs a lot of work doing to it. Definitely not the worst ones we've ever looked at or purchased, but it all boils down to the pounds, shillings and pence. Now, I'm old school, okay? Of course, I like electronic things, but I also like to write things down as well to see where I'm at. I suppose it keeps on top of me mental arithmetic as well. So, the property was originally up for 170 with another agent who still represents the property. It's now gone on with a new agent 3 months after, and it's been reduced now by 10,000. So it was offers over 170, now it's offers over 160. Things that you need to know beforehand, you should always do your due diligence, definitely. So you need to know how much is the top end price around there for a property of that. You can't compare, it's 3-bed, but you can't really compare it to a 3-bed detached, you know, quarter of a mile away. Luckily for us though, there's been 2 or 3 literally on that street over the last year. So we've got some decent comparables there. Last year they were going for 180/190 of reasonable condition. Obviously now they've been creeping up to the 210s, but none of them have had a brand new refurb. So again, B-triple-R is our strategy that we do 99% of the time. So what we'd be looking to do is purchase a property, refurbish it to a decent standard, and obviously refinance it and then rent it out. Anyway, getting on to the figures. So electrics, I'll tell you, let's start off with the strip out. The strip out would probably be around 2,000. Now you're going to think that's a lot of money. That's that's probably about 2 large skips, ripping out all of the woodwork inside, which includes skirts, architrave, door casing, internal doors, all of the kitchen, all of the bathroom, ideal as well. The wallpaper, what was there, there's no carpets in apart from 2 rooms. I think I've got laminate flooring. The woodwork on some of the stairs, so the handrail and spindles, lots of things really. Now that doesn't include the back garden. So the back garden, there was no there was no pictures on Rightmove, which is always a good sign that the back garden's going to be a mess. So the back garden's probably going to take about a couple of grand there as well. So the rip out there is about 2,000. You've then got, looking at it now this way, you're then going to be obviously doing the first fix of electrics and bathroom and so on. So probably the electrics is going to be about £4,000 there or thereabouts. Now, again, you might be able to get it cheaper, but the company we use, very, very reliable, professional, turn up when we need them to turn up, do proper day's work. VAT registered to that always bumps up the bill. So you're probably looking at about 4,500 there for a full rewire, because dotted throughout the property were single sockets and so on. And when we're doing a full rewire, we like to include, obviously there's no single sockets, all double sockets and additional double sockets in most of the rooms. Your bathroom then, again, you're talking about another 4,000 to rip out and put in a new one. But I'll mention this later on. This property caught my eye because it looks as if the bathroom could be shifted over more towards the middle of the house, still on the back wall and the rear elevation, but take off some room on the back bedroom and then free up the space which is the existing. I might try and show you the footprint here actually. Let's have a look. That'll be better, you can understand it then. So if you notice, the bottom footprint there is smaller than this upstairs footprint, because here they've got this additional room because there's a flying freehold there. So you can, on the outside, you can walk underneath this to get into the area, the back garden. So this area here now, obviously in this bedroom, you'd be looking to move this bathroom possibly there, making this bedroom a little bit smaller, probably slightly smaller than that, but it'd still be classed as a double, and then putting in a single bedroom here, maybe extending it by another foot. So again, that is a good way to add value, definitely. And then for the rental side of things, 3-bed in that area is probably going to rent for about 1,050, 1,100. 4-bed, you're probably talking about 1,300 plus, really. So again, all things that you need to work out. Brand new kitchen, you're probably going to be looking at a £4,000 there or thereabouts. So we're up to 16,000 now. So sorry, we're not. We're up to about 18,000. Electrics, bathroom, kitchen, and rip out. That includes all labour. So it's not as if you're going to go to Howden's and just buy the kitchen for 4,000. We want to make sure the kitchen's of a reasonable standard, which reflects our end user. It's not going to be a ridiculously dear 10, 15 grand kitchen. And same with the electrics and bathroom, really. That's all obviously done and dusted, labour, materials, and so on. Probably skim the property throughout, so you're going to allocate probably about 3,500, 4,000 there to that. Again, you won't really know how much it didn't look devastating, but there were quite a few spaces throughout the property, or areas in the property where the wallpaper was coming off. It didn't feel damp or anything like that. When you knock on the plaster, it wasn't crumbling away, but it's always good to factor that into the budget. You're then going to look at gas central heating. So at the moment now, it's got little gas heaters. So at least there's gas to the property, which is going to save money from bringing gas to the property. So there's gas in the property, but again, you're probably talking about probably about 5,000 there for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 radiators, possibly 8, and a brand new boiler there, and a 10-year warranty. Always top up your warranty. Take it from 5 years to 10 for that extra £200, £300. It's definitely worth the investment. What else have we got on here? So you're then talking, obviously, the garden. I reckon it's going to be about £2,500, £3,000 to rip it all out. Luckily, though, it doesn't need to go through the house. You can go through, obviously, the back of what I was mentioning before about this area here, this flying freehold, because from the front of the property, you're walking underneath the house there to then get into the back garden. So the back garden doesn't need to be done before the refurb. It can be done during the refurb stage. So you probably, like I said, going to be £2,000 or £3,000 there into it. Now, at the end of the day, you're going to think, how long is this video going to go on for? How much is he going to spend on this? Front door and back door, you want to put a composite front door on, definitely. So you're talking about 900, 1,000 there. Back door, maybe not, but again, allocate for about £1,600 there. Now, I mention this a lot to my mentees as well. Can you get materials cheaper? Of course you can. Of course you can. Can you get mentoring cheaper? Of course you can. But there's always a cost, okay? So think to yourself now, buy cheap, buy twice. You get what you pay for and so on. So just always be aware of the value of the labour is going to cost the most, but while you're there, you might as well just spend a little bit extra on the refurb materials based on your end result, okay? So that's one thing we need to be aware of. So I think really there, you're probably going to be looking at about 35,000 all in, 35 to 40. I'd go on the highest side. I'd go for 40,000. So that's a 40,000 refurb. Now, again, you might be looking at this thinking, where am I going to get 40 grand from and so on? Or you might be lucky enough to have 40, 50, £100,000 in your savings account. Well done. Get it out of there and get it invested. you've got to think now, I'm going to invest 40,000 into it. How much am I going to get back out of it? So if you're going to invest 40 in, are you going to get back out of it if you're doing BRRR only 10? If you're only getting 10 back out of it, then you're leaving £30,000 plus all your other setup fees, deposit and so on in there. Absolutely a no-brainer. You don't do it at all. You need to make sure you're looking to pull out as much money as possible. So with, again, scruffy hand piece of paper here, if, obviously I did this straight after, if the end value is 200, if the end value is 210, if the end value is 220, and you're putting it on a long-term product, a mortgage works, precise, whatever it is, fleet TMW, sorry, a long-term product, then you're going to be able to pull out probably about 50,000 there you'd pull out if you got it valued at 200, 52.5 if it gets valued at 210, and 55 if it gets valued at 220. Now, you're thinking, right, well, if I refinance it, pull £50,000 back out of it, is it worth it if I put 40 into the refurb? For us, really, I'd like to be thinking as the refurb goes along, maybe if the market continues to increase, those end values might be a little bit conservative. You might be able to push it to 230 maybe, especially considering a couple of terrace properties, which were nice terrace properties, sold for 185 and 210. That 210 one really, obviously, really good condition though. If they're selling for 190-ish and this is a bigger property, bigger footprint, possibly 4 bedrooms, and again, those end values of 200, 210 and 220 are only based on 3 bed. If you manage to turn it into a 4 bed, you're then going to be pushing up 230 onwards, 240. But, and this is why you need to know your investment areas, there's always going to be a ceiling price. You could put in theory, £100,000 into that refurb, but it won't necessarily push the property up 100,000 because there's always going to be a ceiling as to what people will pay for it in that particular area and so on. So is it worth it? You can say yes and no, like most things really, but if you're looking for your return on capital employed, ROCE, so if you haven't heard me talk about that before, please check out some of the other videos on this channel. And like I've said, do me a big favor if you're making notes, do me a big favor, just spend a couple of seconds hitting this subscribe button, okay, hitting the like button as well. It will do us a big favor, lets us know who's watching it and so on. And yeah, if you're looking at the return on capital employed, you are looking at about, you won't be able to see that anyway, it's probably about 19%. Now, where we're getting that figure from, you're saying this is how much it's going to cost for the refurb, we're putting £40,000 in, including, your deposit of whatever it is and everything else, that might be 50,000 plus the 40,000. There's a lot of money there already. So it's probably going to be a return on capital employed of about 19%. However, is it worth it for probably about 4 months of headache? We'll probably put an offer in. Maybe, again, I've based these figures on the fact that if we get it at 160, might be able to get it at 145, 150, who knows? But one of the main things you need to understand is, and again, apologies if I'm jumping all over the show, I've got a mentee session starting soon, so I want to make sure I'm ready for that. You need to understand what your why is for property. Are you getting into it to just have the cash flow? If you are, fantastic, but rent to rent might be something more feasible, or an SA or a HMO. If you're getting into it for the long-term building of wealth, then again, HMO, buy-to-lets and so on. If we were looking to just give this to a social housing provider, set and forget, they do a full repair and insure lease, then it's far better for us to put your money into the bricks and mortar to get a return. And again, it's going to fight against inflation really, because your savings account might be 4, 5, 6%, but inflation is probably about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8%. So at the end of the day, your savings account aren't really worth much. So I hope you found some value in this, and maybe you did watch it until the end. I know I've gone on a lot there about that, jumped around a lot. If you're interested in growing though, transforming, from your white belt beginner stages through to black belt and beyond, maybe check out the link in the video, check out the link in the comment section, have a look at the Black Belt Property Academy. Don't have a look at that website, old school website. That it'll probably take you to the new website anyway, but have a look at Dervish, that's my name. Have a look at dervishdervish.com, and obviously there's information on there for you. I hope you found some value in this video. Keep taking steps further forward, keep getting up, keep showing up, and, I say it a lot, Keep investing in this mindset, okay? Skill set without the correct mindset will leave you upset. Anyway, good luck. Take care.